Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another day of movement meditations. Got a fun lesson planned for you guys this morning. Going to be moving our feet a little bit like we did yesterday, exploring the movement of our knees. I guess it's always useful for me to hear feedback from people. So if people want to share how they've kind of been finding these lessons so far, I'd be very open to listening, to hearing about that. And if there's certain things that people find or are thinking about that I haven't been covering, or certain issues that people have been having in relation to lockdown and kind of slight or massive limit of our mobility, if you've got certain things that you want to think about or want me to address, just give me a shout and let me know, and I'll see if I can add them in. So today, what I want to do is work on tilting the knees. And there's a few different ways that we're going to do that today. The first thing that you need to do for today's lesson is actually sit forward on your chair slightly so that you have a bit of space in between the chair and your knee. So you're quite far forward on the chair. That's going to allow you to tilt your knee left and right. So if you just have your right hand resting on your right knee, and just very gently to start off with, very gently, just take your right knee out to the right and see what the comfortable range of that is. And do that movement a few times. And as you do that movement, maybe it's an opportunity for you to close your eyes, to tune in with yourself on a kind of slightly deeper level. So you've got your right hand, your right palm on your right knee, and you're just gently taking the knee out to the side and seeing how far it goes comfortably. Good. Once you've done it a few times, explored the kind of outwards movement away from the midline of the body, then just begin to do the inwards movement. So you're keeping your right hand on your knee, on your right knee, and just taking your right knee inside towards the midline and back. And just feel how comfortable, how easy that is. How available is it for you this morning? Again, you probably need to sit towards the front of the chair today. Good. So once you've done that a few times, take a rest. And can you remember that when you were doing it, whether your foot was lifting as you were tilting your knee, whether your foot was either lifting towards the outside edge of the foot or the inside edge of the foot? Is that something that you can remember without doing it? Okay, so actually now do it a few times and notice as you've got your right hand, right palm on your right knee, take your knee out to the outside and bring it back to the middle. And notice, does the inside edge of your foot lift off the floor? And as you take the knee to the outside, begin to allow the inside edge of the foot, the right foot, to come very just softly, very gently away from the floor. Not making much effort. And does that allow the knee to travel outside slightly further? Was the foot in some way putting a restriction on the ability of the knee to move towards the outside? Good. And then come back to the middle, take a little rest. And a few times begin to tilt your right knee towards the inside, so taking it to the left. And as you tilt your right knee to the inside with your right hand on top of the knee, can you very gently just begin to lift the outside edge of your right foot? So that the outside edge just kind of peels away from the floor very gently. try that movement a few times. Good, and then come back to the middle and take a rest. So that's a couple of movements. You've taken the knee towards the outside, towards the inside, tilted the foot up as you've taken the knee towards the outside and taken the inside. And now just for a moment for yourself in sitting, keep your hand on your knee, keep your knee relatively still, and see if you can tilt the inside edge of your right foot and the outside edge of your right foot while you keep your knee still, so that the knee stays in the middle, and then you lift the outside edge of the right foot very gently away from the floor, peeling it away from the floor, and then the inside edge of the right foot. And just do that movement a number of times. Seeing if you can make the movement in the ankle without disturbing the knee. Good. Take a rest from that. And then just go back to taking the knee to the outside a few times and see if you can let the inside edge of the foot lift, peel away from the floor as you take the knee out to the outside. Once you've done that a few times, maybe 5, 10 times, then explore the inside movement, taking the knee towards the inside. And as you take the knee towards the inside of the body, the midline, see if you can lift up very gently the outside edge of the foot, so the little toe edge. Good. Once you've done it 5 to 10 times, just take a rest. And keeping your right hand on your right knee, just begin to lift your heel away from the floor a few times. Just lift your heel away so that you come more onto your toes and put your heel back down. And just do that a few times. Taking it slowly. Noticing the kind of smoothness of the heel lifting away from the floor and the smoothness of the heel coming back down towards the floor. See if you can make the speed of those two things equal, so that you don't spend more time doing one than the other. Good. Okay, so lift the toes away from the heel. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Lift the heel away from the floor. Lift the heel away from the floor so that the toes stay on the floor and you kind of got your weight rested on the front of your foot. And in that position, keeping your toes on the floor, see if you can tilt your knee out to the outside a few times, keeping your heel lifted so that you're kind of transferring your weight across the toes. Tilting the knee to the outside a few times and see if you can keep breathing as you do this. Noticing kind of what's happening in the foot as you make this movement. There's an interesting kind of like torque in the foot as you keep your heel lifted and tilt your knee out to the right. Good. And then drop your heel, take a rest, let your heel rest. And then lift and lower your heel again a few times, just keeping your right hand very gently rested on your right knee. Good. The next time you lift the heel away, see if you can just keep it there for a second. Take a moment to breathe. Just feel that it's okay for you to keep your heel lifted in the air. And then very gently begin to tilt your knee to the inside. Seeing if you can keep your toes on the floor as you do that. And again, see if there's this kind of interesting twisting within the foot as the toes stay on the floor, but the knee comes towards the inside of the body, the midline. And can you do it smoothly? Like I said earlier, can you make the outside going outward? Can you make that movement as smooth and as comfortable as going inwards? Noticing what's happening in your toes, your foot. Good. Okay, and then take a rest. Let your heel come down, let your foot rest on the floor. Maybe just take your hand off your knee. Just take your hand off your knee. Just have a proper rest. A few times without your hand on your knee, just lift your knee away from the floor. Lift your heel away from the floor. Lift your heel away. And then the next time you keep the heel lifted and you take your knee very gently towards the outside and then towards the inside. And maybe you want to put your hand back on your knee to kind of help guide the knee. Feel that you can make this movement all the way across the range, going from the outside to the inside. And that it's kind of making this interesting sort of twisting movement within the foot. Good. And let it go. Take a little rest. And then a few times, just tilt your knee without doing that. Keep your heel on the floor. Take your knee to the inside. Take your knee to the outside. And just see how that feels now. How's that developing? Is it becoming easier, smoother, more gentle? Good. Okay, the next thing I'd like you to do is lift the front of your foot away from the floor a few times. So lift the front of the foot away and put it back down. And just do that a few times. Again, you can keep your hand on your right knee if you want. Just do it a few times. Maybe you could coordinate it with your breathing. Make sure you're kind of, you're doing the movement slow enough so that you could be breathing comfortably. Good. The next time you lift the front of the feet, I'd like you to take the direction that the toes are pointing towards the outside of the body so that you're rotating the foot on the heel, taking the outside or the direction the toes are pointing. So what they're going to be doing is something like this. So you're resting with the weight on the heel and you're going to just take your toes out to the outside and then back into the middle. And just do that movement a number of times. And notice if the knee starts to tilt towards the outside as you do that. Is it having some effect on the knee? Generally, you will feel that the knee is going to go in the same direction as the foot. Good. And then come back to the middle, let your front of your foot rest, let it come down, and just feel your feet on the floor again. And maybe you can feel a difference between your left leg and your right leg. The way this lesson has developed, me teaching it, I'm kind of thinking that I'm just going to do one leg. And then if people are interested in doing the other leg, they can just go back and watch the recording to do the other side. Okay, so just begin to lift the right front of the right foot again a few times. Do it very slowly, very comfortably. Seeing if you can kind of keep your breathing smooth, the movement so it's smooth. So it's kind of not jerking between sort of up and down. It's like a smooth movement. Concentrating on the process of lifting, not the end result. Good. And then the next time the front of the foot is lifted, begin to turn the toes in the direction of the midline of the body. So again, this is the heel, the weight's on the heel, the toes are lifted, and you're just going to begin to turn the toes inside toward the midline of the body and back to the middle. And just do that movement a few times. It's good that I have my hands to demonstrate with. It would be complicated to set up a camera. Good. And just do it a few times and see how comfortable that is. See how the knee comes along for the ride. Does this inform your sort of understanding of tilting of the knees in any way? Can you feel what's happening in the hip socket as you do this? Good. And keep tilting it. Just do it a few times. See if you can keep your breathing soft, your right hand soft on top of your knee. And then begin to turn the foot to the outside, turning the toes towards the outside, letting the knee tilt towards the outside, and then turn the toes towards the inside, letting the knee tilt towards the inside. And just feel that you can go through that whole range of movement. You might feel that there's some rotation happening in the lower bones of the leg. Do it nice and slowly. See if you can get like a smooth scanning movement of the toes. So the toes are lifted, you're resting on the heel, and see if you can get a smooth scanning movement. So if you're kind of scanning the room with the toes. Good. And then come back to the middle. Let the front of the foot rest. And a few times, just lift the front of the foot and bring it down and just feel how that feels now. Do it slowly, gently. Okay, and then lift the heel again. Leave the toes on the floor, the front of the foot on the floor, and lift the heel. And just do that a couple of times, lifting and lowering, keeping your breathing soft. So I'm I guess I'm being a little sneaky in this lesson. I'm saying that if you want to be able to tilt your knees well, the feet need to be flexible. So we're kind of educating the feet in order to educate the knees. Good. And the next time you lift your heel, just try tilting the knee towards the inside and the outside, and just see if you can make that a nice, comfortable, smooth movement, keeping all the toes on the floor, feeling that there's this twisting happening within the foot, the bones of the foot kind of rotating around each other. And there's less rotation in the lower leg now, but there's more rotation in the foot. Good. Can you make that a little quicker? Can you make it comfortably quicker? Okay. Bring your heel back to the middle. Bring it down to rest. And then in this resting position, just begin to leaving your foot on the floor, your whole foot on the floor, just tilting your right knee towards the outside edge of the body and towards the inside edge of the body, and just see how that's developed. Is there some sense of change that you feel in comparison with when you first tried this movement? Good. And as I said, after the lesson, I mean, maybe we'll compare and contrast in a second, but if you want to do the other side, let's just go back to the beginning of the video, and you can access it again and just watch and do the other side. And so notice, is the range that your knee can tilt now without lifting the sides of the foot more? Has it increased? And then if you were to lift the edges of the foot as you do this movement, tilting your knees towards the inside and the outside, would that increase the range even more? Good. And then just come back to the middle, leave the knee in the middle, and very gently just tilt the foot so that the inside edge of the foot lifts and the outside edge of the foot lifts. And just feel how that affects all the way up to the knee, the bones of the lower leg. But just see if you can kind of keep the knee still, relatively still. Good. And then take your hand away. Have a little rest. And then just explore without your hand there, what movement is available to you now with the knee, with the right knee? How far can you go out to the side? How far can you go into the middle? And is it comfortable to do that? Does it feel comfortable on the foot to do that? And then if you want a bit of contrast, do the same thing on the left side. Feel how the left side feels in comparison with the right side. And I imagine that the right side is going to feel a lot smoother, a lot more comfortable, a lot more capable than the left knee, because we haven't gone through that process with the left knee. So as I said, if you want to watch it again, you can just start from and maybe you want to leave a bit of contrast for a bit. Feel as you kind of, maybe for the next hour or so, you want to walk about, feel what's happening in your right hip, your right knee, your right foot, and feel the contrast between the left side. Does it feel more skillful on one side than the other? And then come back to the lesson later, try it on the left side and see how things change. Sometimes it's quite useful to have a bit of contrast because it kind of teaches you what you were doing before and what you were doing after. If you just go straight into equalizing it and doing the lesson on the left side, maybe you lose an opportunity for seeing some of the habits that you have. Okay, so that was today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you want to leave me a comment, please do. Again, you can access all these recordings in my Facebook group, www.facebook.com/groups/thoughtful movements. All the old lessons are in there if you want to access any of them. I do offer these free of charge. But if you're interested and you are grateful for the lessons and you want to make a small donation to me, I would obviously be very appreciative. I'm not sure what I've got coming up. It's Tuesday today. I am teaching my regular Saturday self-regulation class, 1 o'clock on Saturday, UK time. And then my regular Qigong and Tai Chi class, Sunday morning, 9:45 till 11. So if anyone's interested in those, please let me know and you can come along. I'll get you the details. Okay, take care. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed it.